How to structure the discussion? What are the techniques to write discussion? Can we combine or separate the discussion from the results? These are some of the common questions asked by students. From my years of experience as a FYP coordinator, many students are puzzled on how to write a good discussion in their thesis. That's the reason I came out with this video series to assist students in managing their FYP projects and to help students on writing a good FYP thesis. Hi, I'm Jannah Ibrahim, and here's my series on how to ace your final year project. Okay, now that you have your data analyzed and you already got ideas on how to represent your data to your audience, which means you already have the graphs, tables, diagrams, and text in place for your thesis, which means you are ready to start writing your result and discussion chapter. There are two key elements when writing discussion. First, analysis, and second, interpretation. Both elements are essential in the process of making conclusion out of the data presented in your results. Therefore, it is important for you to clearly link your claim to a specific set of data and logically describe how the data supports your claim. Analysis involves explaining the results and identifying the conclusions you can draw from them. You can present what are obvious from the results by highlighting key results and placing them in the context of other results. Meanwhile, interpretation involves explaining the significance of these conclusions, identifying the potential limitation of the experimental methods and their effects on the results, and accounting for any potential errors. In a nutshell, you need to present your analysis and interpretation in a creative way that can create an engaging discussion for your audience. The discussion is a mixture of background information and theoretical information and the results or outcome of the FYP. To some extent, discussion chapter is similar to the main body of the thesis, but with deeper analysis enriched by the knowledge gained during the research process. The results and discussion chapter is the core of the FYP thesis. Writing discussions may have different essence depending on the type of documents you are preparing. In a design type of report, for instance, the results and discussion may involve an evaluation of the design or method used. Meanwhile, in a case study, the results and discussion section would involve measuring the feasibility or evaluating the success of one or more solutions. There is also a slight difference in writing results and discussion section between a proposal and final report. For example, in a proposal, it is more likely there is no results to discuss. So the discussion can be something of recommendation or looking forward action to be conducted in the future. But in a final report, however, you might discuss whether or not the project lived up to the objectives, budget, and timeline laid out in the proposal. No matter what type of document you are preparing, here are the 8 techniques that you can use in writing a good and focused discussion. First and foremost, try to structure your discussion chapter from the specific to the general. You can expand your description and transition from the narrow confines of your study to the general framework of your research area. Try to maintain the same general tone of the introduction, which means you need to use the same key terms, the same tense, and the same point of view as used in your introduction. You can start by rewriting your research questions and restating your hypothesis that you previously posed in your introduction. You can follow this sequence in presenting your subject matter. First, state the answer of your research work. Second, show the relevant results. And third, you need to cite the work of credible resources. And when necessary, you need to point the audience to figures and graphs to enhance your argument. Next step in writing discussion is you can compare your results with those previously reported by others and explain how your results relate to the expectation of your study and to the literature you reviewed. You need to clearly explain why your results are acceptable and how they consistently fit in with previously published results. Be sure to give a proper attention for all results relating to your research questions, regardless of whether or not the results were statistically significant. The third step is to make critical analysis from the similarities and differences of your research works and others. You need to first declare the answers to your research questions. Make sure to support these answers with your results. Here you can showcase how your FYP work has changed or contributed to the knowledge. You can also include what are the practical implications of the results to the research area. The next step is to present the assumptions and limitations of your research work. For example, you can mention that your research was conducted in a small sample at specific temperature or pressure, and therefore your results are not the same as reported in the literature. Be sure to defend your answer. This can be done by explaining the validity of your answer and by showing the shortcomings of others' answers in literature. You can tell your audience about the patterns, the principle, and the key relationship shown by each of your major findings and then put them into perspective. But you must make sure your point of view is more convincing if you are presenting both sides of the arguments. You can also give reasoning or justification whether your hypothesis is proven to be valid or invalid. Step number 6 is to describe your reflection on the subject matter. You can make assessment on the research process and work validity. Is it valid to your specific method in your research, or you can change the method in the literature review to achieve the objectives? These are some reflection that you can write. In the reflection, you can also include the information concerning any new problems encountered by applying your new methods or not. As a whole, the discussion should lead the audience to some conclusions, and this is done by indicating how the researcher managed to arrive at that solution, how the researcher achieved the objectives, and how the methodology could be improved to achieve the solution. The final step in writing discussion is to present recommendation for improving the implementation of research methods, general applicability or suitability of the results and topic for future work. Now, there's always a confusion on how to compose the results and discussion section. Whether we can write it together in one paragraph or chapter, or separate them into different sections or chapters. It all depends on your writing style. You can also discuss with your supervisor which are the most suitable methods to present your results and discussion. You can choose either to combine the result and discussion in one section or to keep them separately. Combining the results and discussion in the sections allows you to have a more coherence in presenting your point or a better flow in describing your subject matter and its arguments. Coherence means maintaining a clear focus within paragraphs, making connection between paragraphs, and connecting each paragraph to a central claim or a subject matter. Here are some ways to create coherence between paragraphs. First, arrange the paragraphs in a logical order. Second, end each paragraph with a sentence that not only wraps up the content of that paragraph but also anticipates the content of the next paragraph. Then, begin each paragraph with a sentence that not only forecasts the content of that paragraph, but also links to the subject matter under discussion. In writing a specific paragraph of a subject matter, we need to create cohesion or maintaining connection between sentences. Cohesion can be accomplished in 3 ways. Firstly, use pronouns that have clear antecedents. Secondly, by using transition words or phrases such as moreover, furthermore, afterwards, therefore, that connects to the previous sentences. By combining results and discussion in one paragraph, you can discuss the result of a particular test or method immediately after presenting them. You can create a separation between results and discussion by dividing your section into appropriate subsections, potentially into different topics or tests. In this example, it is more important to discuss the relationship between composition, strength, and flexibility of an individual sample than it is to compare the feature of all 3 samples, which means feature from sample A to C. Keeping results and discussion separated, on the other hand, allows you to discuss all of the results at one time. And in this case, you may want to hold off on discussing the results until you have presented all of them. The headings for the discussion and results section may be looked as in this example. When writing your results and discussion chapter, you should always keep in mind the main goal of your discussion. This includes stating your interpretation, declaring your opinions, explaining the effects of your findings, and making suggestions and predictions for future work. To ensure your message remains crystal clear, the discussion chapter should be short and sweet, but it should fully state, support, elaborate, explain, and defend your conclusion. Side issues should not be written because they will cloud the essence of your message. There is no perfect thesis, but you must help your reader to determine what are the facts and what is speculation. That's end my video on writing results and discussion chapter. Thank you.